be really straightforward. I'm not going to be able to give you the exact words that Paula used. It was more than a decade ago, and so what remains in my memory is the impression that it made, not exactly the words that she said. But what she was trying to clearly reassure me, but explain to me, was sort of saying that, you know, although, and as I say, these are not words, these are my impression of what she was saying, that, you know, although these might seem to be lovely people, clearly some of them are actually just at it, is what she was trying to convey. And it was, as I say, that kind of tone of, you know, we have looked into this, and it, you know, and it is very sad, but that is just the reality, and so we have to act. So that's what I recall from that, as I say, with the caveat that I don't know the exact words.
And can you assist us with the timing? Is it in a similar period to the 6th of 8th to 8th of July?
I'm pretty sure it will have been, because this was a point where I had the briefing meeting in June, I think June at some point, without access to the diary. I don't know exactly the date. And then there was clearly telephone calls. I mean, it could have been in that June meeting. I would have been asking questions about this, you know, querying it, because of course, you know, MPs are raising concerns on behalf of their constituents. And so this was Paula Vennells saying to me that, yeah, basically just some of these subpostmasters are guilty.
What role did that have in the thinking that you had at that time?
So at that time, you know, the related context is around the numbers that I was being told. So, yeah, and all of the briefings were about the millions of transactions, the, you know, not just the 11,500 branch subpostmasters, but also all of their staff, so the tens of thousands of Horizon users, and that this is a minuscule, tiny proportion. And of course, the figures that I was being told of how many cases at that point, you know, there was, I think, 14 in the in one of the briefings around this point. I think later on, even in 2015, when I asked about which criminal cases remained that would not then be mediated, it was 37. So those numbers were, you know, a smallish proportion of a very large number. And it didn't seem to me to be impossible that there would be some fraud within the post office, but I would have thought it would have been a small amount, and that the numbers that were being given to me seemed to be small amounts. I did ask for specific statistics. I think this was in response to reading the briefing pack, because having seen the emails that my private office sent on the morning of the statement of the 9th of July, I think I asked for, you know, a breakdown of how many of the subpostmasters had been convicted of fraud or theft or false accounting, how many cases had actually gone to court and the subpostmaster been found not guilty. I asked for that breakdown as was detailed in that email, but I don't think it was actually provided. And I have to say, one of the things that I regret is that I didn't specifically chase that. I mean, the context of, you know, the number of questions I would ask in any individual ministerial box, we'd be talking dozens, because on each submission I might be making 4 or 5 questions. So, you know, I do recall early on with my private office sort of saying to them, you know, probably in September or October, look, I keep asking you all these questions and responding to things. How are we keeping track of this? Am I supposed to, you know, keep a note of what I've asked? And I remember my private secretary, head of private office, Emily, saying to me, look, you just have to trust us that we follow these things up. That's our job, and you can't possibly know all of it.